Stuff, and you guys did an excellent job in heels. Good morning, I'm Heidi Glass from News Channel 5, and I am so excited to be able to kick things off. I'm really excited to be able to attend some of the sessions as well, because one of the promises that the Business Journal makes is that you'll learn something today that you can use at work tomorrow. So, get out there and mingle today. There's lots of powerful women here. I've been backstage with several of them that you're about to meet. Special thanks to Anika Porter from Fitness by Anika for getting us revved up this morning. Who needs caffeine when you have Anika, right? Like I mentioned, there's all sorts of power in the room today, and I want to introduce one of those powerful women right now. We wouldn't be having this if it wasn't for her. Business Journal publisher Ellen Sherberg, who will welcome the sponsors of today's event, bringing together some of the most powerful women in town. Ellen?
So, is Elizabeth Mannion out here? Elizabeth, we need you backstage if you are, okay? Good morning. Okay. I can see people are still filing in. Let me tell you that by, I would say maybe 10 o'clock today, hey Kathy, there will be 950 of us here. Isn't that nice? And we have a very full day planned for you. There are more than 90 exhibitors, and we hope that you visit them all. Candidly, I especially hope that you visit the Business Journal's booth, where we're going to have a drawing for a $50 hotel card. It's good anywhere. And, of course, anybody who purchases a subscription today is good for that drawing. I have some thank yous. I want to thank Tiffany for the sponsor gifts. You can see those beautiful blue bags. We want to thank Build-A-Bear for our speaker gifts. And mainly, we want to thank you. So, I think it would be really easy to sort of see today as a St. Louis version of, Oprah and her friends, Ellen and her friends. And I'm really very flattered and extraordinarily honored to be able to say that so many of you and so many of the women who are participating today are my friends. But that's not what today's about. I saw the young women from St. Joseph's Academy wave, way up here in the front row. And I know we've got some high school students from Kirkwood as well. Wait, here, see? So, okay, this is really what today's about. And so I want to talk to you for a second, okay? You're going to see all these women up here, and you're going to think, oh, I could become that someday. And I want to tell you you're wrong, okay? Because when I was your age, you couldn't find 2 women bank presidents in St. Louis. You wouldn't have found a woman president of a university in St. Louis. You wouldn't have found, certainly, a woman heading up Country Day School in St. Louis. You wouldn't have found most of the women that you're going to see today in the positions they're in. And so in one generation, I've been able to see everything change. And so for you all, especially, you don't want to be us. You want to be more than us, and better than us, and higher than us. And so if we're saying, hey, we got the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer of a $20 billion company here. You want to be the CEO of that $20 billion company, okay? And if we've got some of the top lawyers in town here, you want to be the Chief Justice of the United States, okay? So you don't want to be us, because look at what has happened in one generation, and just imagine what can happen in yours. So I figure, when we all kind of come in here on our crutches and in our wheelchairs and with our bionic limbs, which I fully expect we'll have, because we're going to get all the plastic surgery there is in America, probably, okay? When we come in here and you're up here, there won't be 900 women in this room. There'll be 9,000, and they're going to all be here for you, okay? So the people we really need to thank for making it possible for all of us to be here are the sponsors. And so I'd like to bring them on stage and let you thank them. Peabody Energy and the Cedars at the JCA are sponsors. Their women are actually working today, so we thank them in absentia. But I would like for you to thank Deb Hollingsworth, who's Regional Vice President, External Affairs, AT&T Missouri. I'd like for you to thank Jan Hess, who's Vice President of St. Luke's Hospital. St. Luke's and AT&T are title sponsors of this event. We're thrilled that they're here. Elizabeth Mannon, we found her. Elizabeth Mannon from Wells Fargo. Thank you very much. Elizabeth's a financial advisor at Wells Fargo Advisors. Please welcome Suzanne Sitherwood, who's president of Laclede Group. And Kathy Button-Bell, the vice president and chief marketing officer of that $20 billion company, Emerson Electric. Emerson, not Electric, Emerson. You've already met, but welcome with great enthusiasm, Heidi Klaus, who's a reporter at KSDK News Channel 5. Please say hello to my good friend Mayshivi Weirden, executive director of the Missouri Lottery. Now I have to say, she's the one we really want to know here, okay? Lauren Tucker Huber, corporate accounts manager of 9 Network of Public Media, is here. Please welcome Linda Lowenstein, who's principal of the Lawrence Group and founder of Niche. That's where my necklace is from. Say hello to Nyla Tuxon. Nyla is vice president of human resources at the St. Louis Convention and Visitors Commission. And Stacy Niehaus, who's area sales manager of UPS. Please welcome Lisa Lyle, head of school, MICDS. Kay Henry, who's associate dean and the director of the executive MBA program at the Olin Business School. Give a special shout out to Donna Martin, who's CEO of Girl Scouts of Eastern Missouri. You know, those cookie sales start this week. And so if you want to support young women and young women's leadership, you got to buy those Girl Scout cookies, you know? Thin mints. Barb O'Malley, Associate Vice President, Chief Communications Officer of Webster University. Without them, there's no us. So thank you all very, very much. Many of us in the room know each other very well, but there are lots of people to meet. And it's really my honor to introduce you and to introduce Suzanne to you. So I'd like for you to meet Suzanne Sitherwood. Suzanne is going to be taking over as CEO of Laclede Group on February 1st. Currently, her title is president. Suzanne's been in St. Louis 6 months, maybe? And that's after 31 years at AGL Resources in Atlanta. She most recently was president of Atlanta Gas and Light, and by all accounts was one of the most powerful and important women in the state of Georgia. She was the first and only woman to lead the Georgia Chamber of Commerce. Suzanne has been involved with lots of things that we're all involved with here, whether it's Habitat for Humanity or March of Dimes and a whole host of very important causes. So we are very glad that she's here. Please welcome Suzanne Sitherwood, currently president of Laclede Group.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning, St. Louis. Good morning, women of St. Louis. It's great to be here. Man, Ellen, you can throw a party. It really is great to be here. And like Ellen said, I've actually only been here 4 months thus far. So this is amazing to me that you can get so many women out, and it's a credit to St. Louis, and it's a credit to the women of St. Louis, and it's certainly a credit to Ellen and the Business Journal. Most of the meetings I've been to with women, you have to give away Spanx to get them there. So this is really good, really, really good. So, and I have to tell you, the people here are just amazingly friendly. Like I said, I've only been here 4 months, and I'm from the South, and they talk about Southern hospitality. But one of the great things about showing up here has been the people. They've been incredibly, incredibly kind, and they've been warm, and they've embraced me. And for that, I'm very much appreciative. Because a couple of things. One, like I said, moved here 4 months ago. And when I moved here, it's just me. I have a 27-year-old son, and so I just basically piled in my pickup truck. By the way, it's a big pickup truck. It's 4x4, 4-door, big. And so I loaded up, and the Laclede group were kind enough to get me a place at the Chase. I didn't know what the heck a Chase was. So I pulled up in front of the Chase. I've got my shorts on and my tee and my flops and my ball cap. And there were 3 nice bellmen at that Chase that day. So I pull up and said, "Hi, guys, how y'all doing?" And they said, "Well, just fine. What are you doing? Are you checking in?" I said, "Yeah, I'm on the month-to-month program." And they were great. They unloaded my truck. They didn't realize how many pairs of shoes that you can get in a pickup truck, and a bicycle, and a shotgun. Yeah, they liked the shotgun. I wouldn't let them have it. But no, people are just amazingly, amazingly kind. Over the holiday weekend, I decided I needed to move, so I've now rented a place in Ladue. And so those same 3 bellmen, they got to go get their shoes back out and take them back down and get them to Ladue. Now, the beauty of all this, in 4 months period of time, because my office was right around the corner, and because the Chase is in Central West End, you're impressed too, I even know the name of these areas, don't you? And then Clayton and Ladue. I've had a real good experience in terms of from east to west, really getting to know a lot of people in the city. And like I said, it's been very embracing, and it's been a wonderful experience. So Ellen's sitting there staring at me because she's going, "Oh my gosh, Suzanne can talk, I can talk. And I can talk really slow, or I can talk really fast with a Southern accent." So I'm going to try to keep this movement along and not tell too many stories. But when I was thinking about the topic today and the gathering of women, and oh, by the way, too, I was in my office last week with Jessica, and Jessica's our director of communications, and she was going through this event. And I said, "Well, Jessica, how many women are going to be here?" I said, "What do you think, 20, 50, 70? She's like, "Oh, no, Suzanne, we're going to have hundreds." I'm like, "Hundreds?" So, again, kudos to you and what you're doing here. But when I was talking to her, I said, I have been in business for 31 years. And I started as an engineer. Trust me, I think I was the only woman in the classroom, so we're not a lot of women in engineering. And I went into the energy sector, and trust me, there are not a lot of women in the energy sector. I was first chief engineer hired. I was the first chief engineer in a U.S. publicly traded engineering company, female engineer. Not a lot of women in my industry. So I said, what really would be a nice little topic for today, because I just have a few minutes to talk with you. And I came to the conclusion that I really want to talk about influence. Influence. And it's my only cheat sheet for today, just to keep me on target. Influence. I wanted to read to you the definition of influence. Sometimes people think of influence as being a word or being an action that's not necessarily positive. And I believe that influence is a very positive thing. So let's talk about that. The definition, 2 definitions. One, the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone. Definition 1, the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone. Definition number 2, the power to shape policy or ensure favorable treatment. Definition number 2, the power to shape policy or ensure favorable treatment. So I'm going to start with definition number 2, the power to shape policy. Okay, raise your hand or stand up if you're involved either on the board with a philanthropic entity or you've made a contribution the past 12 months to any philanthropic organization. Stand up or raise your hand. I love you that stand up. It's like, stand up. Yeah. Many of you, right? Right? Kudos to you. Yeah, that is a... Women are a very giving group, but it's more than that. How have you influenced, because so many of you are involved in philanthropic organizations and are giving to philanthropic organizations, How has that changed, much Ellen's earlier comments, how has that changed what has happened in the philanthropic community the last 20 years? Right? American Heart Association, Go Red for Women. Komen, Race for the Cure, right? Think about how many other organizations in terms of domestic violence, right? And other organizations as far as career pathing. Very much now a focus on women because you have influenced that arena through your giving as well as your involvement, right? Okay, how many of you, same thing, stand up and raise your hand if you have written a check or been highly engaged in the state political process. In other words, you've made a political contribution to a state senator or or representative, or if you've been heavily involved in the political process. Stand up and raise your hand. Less of you, right? Oh, very good. I like that. See, the young, smart people in the room. Here we go. But less of you, right? Same question. How many of you written a check or have gotten involved in the political process heavily at the national level? You have written a check for somebody? Stand up and raise your hand. Very good. Less of you, though. So my point is, more and more of us collectively, instead of one person standing up and being in a voice to shape policy in the political arena, more and more of you, I encourage you to get involved in the political process at a state level and a federal level. And we don't always have to agree. I'm party agnostic. When people ask me what party I'm like, I'm party agnostic. I'm for good policy, period. And it's that easy. And so it doesn't matter if we agree around particular details, but what does matter is that we as women, an affinity group, have a place at the table. And the way that you get a place at the table in the political process, again, influence, is through writing a check or being engaged. Because there's a pie, and that pie is going to get divided up. And if we as women are not at the table, then we will be passed. Because everybody else at the table is going to get a slice. So, okay, how many of you are either an executive at a company or you sit on a corporate board? Very good. But as you can tell, smaller numbers, right, as I'm going down the list. And that's not surprising. That's not surprising at all. Remember the other definition that I talked about? The capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone. Because many of you are sitting there saying, well, I'm early in my career, or I'm just getting started in my career. So how could I, it's not like you graduate from college and you become the CEO. I've been at this 31 easy years. It's just been easy. We'll talk about that later. So 31 years later, so you're saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, how can I get there? Which is this definition of influence. I think it's very important that we all have people that influence our lives. In the business vernacular, it's often called mentors. And in my entire career, I've always had one or two mentors at all time. The way I sort of look at it, it's where parenting left off. You're raised, you have your parents, they're influencing your life heavily, and then you get into the business world, and okay, now what I do. Mentors are very, very important. Always have one or two. And I recommend changing them out every 2 or 3 years. They can get a little stale. So. But the truth is, if you've ever mentored anybody, you're there for a reason, right? That point in their career. And it is time then to move on. You've helped them with that particular item over that particular period of time. And it's good to refresh, and it's good to get different mentors. And mentors, again, serve a purpose because they're helping to influence you at that particular point in time to help you grow as an individual. And some people might not even, these two people may not even know it because mentors can be formal and informal. But again, I picked up, moved to St. Louis, climbed in my pickup truck. How many people do you think I knew in this city? 0. Now you're going, gosh, she's crazy. I sent her back. I knew 0. The board interviewed me, so I got to know, obviously the board of directors, but I didn't know anybody. So when I arrived here, there's a couple of individuals, and like I said, I'm not even sure they know it right now, that are mentors to me. They're helping me navigate the city. They're providing me guidance. They're giving me information about, some of the norms in the city, some of the norms with people, some of the norms within the organization, with the hopes of I can learn a lot faster than what I might do if I was on my own, right? So let's talk about parents and mentors. If I said really mentors are really where your parents left off, let's talk a little bit about parents, how they can influence you. And I'll pick on myself a little bit. I was fortunate. I came from a loving nest, so to speak. My parents had a huge amount of influence on me. They actually claim me today, which is always nice when you're reclaimed. So, well, I have a great amount of influence. We didn't have a lot of material items. I kind of joke about that the housing that I grew up in, most of it was about a 20 by 20, because I grew up on military bases. My father was in the military, and which was a blessing as I think back over the years. So what's unique about being in the military? One, you move every 2 years of your life until I was 20 years old. So moving to St. Louis wasn't really that big of a deal, was it? But every 2 years of my life, I moved until I was 20. And what that helped me with in businesses, there's often a lot of change, a lot of ambiguity. You have to meet people quickly. And so my military background, my military experience helped. The other way that it helped, quite frankly, is after school or on the weekends or in the summers, I'd follow my father around because we lived on the bases. So I was in the barracks and I was in the hangars. He was in the Navy. And I'd follow him around. And I'd watch my father as he would lead the squadrons and lead the troops. And I would see him leading these young individuals, because a lot of them were a lot younger, the troops, and leading them to outcomes that needed to be accomplished. And the military also has a special interest, which is protecting this country and keeping each other alive. So as I watched him train as a young woman, a young lady, getting to watch those leadership skills put to work. I wasn't back at the house. I didn't even have a doll. I was following him around and shadowing him. So I had the gift of learning leadership skills and engagement early. Also, because I was on a base and all these mechanical things, planes and trucks and all that stuff, I liked math and science. So I said, hey, why don't I go to an engineering school, which was very, very rare in those days. But I loved it. It felt normal to me. And so graduating with an engineering degree, I was able to quickly find a position at the gas company. Now, when I went and interviewed at the gas company, here I'm showing up, not in the best part of town. We have these, because we have all these trucks and stuff. They're not usually in the best part of town. So this was 1980. 1980. That methane makes you hold up well. 1980. So I show up and I'm seeing these big fences with barbed wire at the top and all these men in uniforms and these trucks running around and so forth. And I show up and I think, wow, this looks like a military base. I like this. And so they hired me. So that's how I got my first job. And so that part of the military helped me as well. The other part that helped, and honestly I think this is the most important piece of everything that I learned, is living on a military base. They were extremely diverse. This was the 60s and the 70s. And military bases were diverse. A lot of interracial marriages, a lot of families that were mixed over time for different reasons, people from all over the world. My senior year in high school, I actually lived in Memphis. It was a training facility. And on my street, there was a family from Germany, a family from Japan, a family from the Philippines, a family from Louisiana. I think that's its own country. Where else? Oh, we had African American and Asian American, all on our street. And on the weekends, we would assimilate at someone's home, and they would prepare their traditional fare of food, and we would all talk about that. And so we talk about the globe. Now, mind you, in my era, we didn't have, I know it's going to be hard for you to believe, the internet hasn't existed very long, okay? And fly on an airplane, are you kidding me? I was around them, but fly on, no. So this is a new thing. I know that's probably shocking to you, but anyway. So all of that diversity that I was surrounded with that I would never have been exposed to if I lived in a very small community, I wouldn't have received that. I wouldn't have gotten that gift. So when I showed up in business in 1980 and started my business career, I was shocked at the lack of diversity, and I was shocked at the lack of women, quite frankly, and I was shocked at how many the cultural, the traditions, the norms that existed in businesses. And they weren't it wasn't a bad thing per se in the sense that people were not kind-hearted. It's just those traditions lived, and I had a different exposure. So one of the things for me as I progressed in my career was to make sure that we're thinking broadly and thinking broadly of all people, especially as we have become more of a global economy. So that's my dad, and that's my military experience. Obviously, I'm pretty fond of Dad. So, but what about Mom? What about Mom? Okay. My mom was born and raised in New Jersey. She went to New York art schools. So here we got military man, uniform, march. Then you got Mom. Mom's the best. So artist mom. So what did Mom teach her kids? Amongst many things like table manners and so forth, which are highly important. She also taught us, for example, we never had a coloring book in the house. We had tablets of paper. The notion of having a coloring book where you have to color and stay within the lines, are you kidding me? No, dream what you can dream. See what you can see. Paint what you want to paint. Use your imagination. Use your imagination. If you want to paint the sky purple, paint it purple. If you want to, paint it 3 colors, paint it 3 colors. What do you see? Use your imagination. Use your imagination. So how does that translate into business? Because part of when I was growing up, I said I didn't have much, right? So how do you use your imagination to create fun, to solve problems, to remove barriers, to use your imagination, your creativity, your innovation? And so my mother created a side of us that while I'm the engineer, I guess I'm schizophrenic, right? I'm the engineer, but on the other hand, the vision, the creativity, problem solving, thinking out more in a distance versus the immediate action. And that was the gift that my mother bestowed upon her kids, and she cultivated that our entire life. Now, I will admit, because some of my colleagues are up here on the front row, that can drive people crazy. I will admit. But it is a gift. So our parents do contribute, and they are, like I said, probably the strongest mentors in our lives. But whether or not your experiences are good, bad, or ugly, and usually there's a combination of that, I do highly encourage you to continue the process of learning and get mentors in your life. And you're never too old to learn. I mean, I've got some mentor. I have one mentor, in fact. I'm not going to digress a second. Was in their early 20s because I needed to learn how to use an iPhone and an iPad and hook up my receiver and that sort of thing. So mentors come in all shapes and sizes and ages and so forth. It depends on what your gap is. I did not want to be the old lady in the boardroom who did not, when we were talking about glasses, with my glasses on the end of my nose and not how to use an iPhone. So mentors come in different shapes and sizes. So that was the message I really want to leave with you this morning. Is influence matters. It matters for women as a whole, and it also matters for you as individuals as you're pursuing your destiny, your careers, your passions. Have those influences in your life, because if you do, and then you get involved philanthropically, you get involved politically, you take positions, board seats, collectively we will get better policies and better outside outcomes for this group, this affinity group, women. I want to thank you very much for having me here this morning. You guys are great. You've been, again, very welcoming to the St. Louis community. I look forward to getting to know every woman in the city. And before I do get off stage, though, where's the Kirkwood High School ladies? They're up front. I want to see you up here in 30 years, okay? Thank you for being here. And the other last message for the sponsors up on the stage and everybody else. Next year, maybe each of us sponsor a high school and bring some more young ladies into the fold if we get a second. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Now that's a CEO who's constantly thinking. Right there, already adding something to this. Did you guys learn something right there? I took a couple things away. I'm glad she mentioned shoes, because I don't know if you noticed hers, but they were awesome. And secondly, I think sometimes when you have business women, sometimes we all come off as bitchy, and talking about influence and coming together, I think that's pretty darn important. So thank you very much, Suzanne. This next powerhouse to speak this morning is AT&T's Regional Vice President of External Affairs. Deb Hollingsworth has been a part of this since the beginning. AT&T was a founding sponsor of the St. Louis Business Journal Women's Conference, and Deb has been the face of it each and every year for AT&T. So please welcome to the stage, Deb.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the St. Louis Business Journal Women's Conference. It is fabulous to see you here. And we should thank Ellen and the Business Journal for bringing this to us for so many years. Ellen, thank you. And as you can already see, this year is special, because you're going to meet the most amazing women all day. And the best part, they're all right here in St. Louis. And you can meet them today, you can visit with them, and you can learn from them directly. And then you can connect with them later on. And Suzanne, congratulations on your new position at Laclede Gas. Welcome to St. Louis. I have a colleague down in Georgia who just loved Suzanne and gave us such a nice words about her before she even arrived. So even though you didn't know anyone here, you kind of did. We knew about you, and we knew what a wonderful, wonderful influence you would be in our community, not to mention in the business world as well. So thank you for coming here, and we look forward to seeing more of you. Well, now I'd like to get started with something that I love to talk about, because it's my business, but it's also probably my personal passion, and that's connecting. And connecting women in particular, because we just enjoy meeting each other, don't we? It is so much fun to meet new women, and you have the whole day to meet women you've never seen before, learn from them, share your knowledge with them, and just really connect. And you'd be amazed what will happen when you do that. So I have some slides I'd like to show with you, if they can put them up, and I guess they are. First, I'd like to talk a little bit about why should you even connect. You're probably like, well, I'm here, I'm going to learn, I'm going to all these sessions, I read, I may go to school, I work. Why should I connect? Well, here are some reasons why. It's one of the qualities of extraordinary leaders. And in our company, and I would say all businesses, you look for people who are extraordinary at leadership. Not just good, but great. So you want to be able to connect, because what do? We connect inside and outside whatever organization we're part of. If it's a high school, if it's a business, if it's a university, we're always connecting with people to get the job done, whatever that may be. Your reputation depends on quality connecting. Every person you meet adds to your list. It builds your character and your reputation and develops your brand. That is so important. Think about that. If you want to know more about your brand, come to one of the breakout sessions and learn a little bit more about that. But every day you're out connecting with people, you're living, breathing your brand, aren't you? And your people that you connect with, your connections, reflect your brand. You want to meet the most interesting people. I have to tell you, that's the best part of my job. I have met the most wonderful people and had extraordinary experiences because of them. So you will be amazed when you connect what happens. You develop the best friendships, you know that. You build your network, and the best part, it's really fun. So you may be thinking, okay, I know this, but how do I do it? Some people it comes naturally to. How do I do it? You've done the first thing. You showed up. You're here, you're present, you're accounted for. Showing up is a big part of it, isn't it? For any type of success, and connecting is no different. You have to be out and about. You have to get in to be in. And so that is really critical. I encourage you to get out and about. Sometimes it's easier to stay home or stay in the group with your friends. But when you step out and meet someone new and try a new experience, it just makes all the difference in the world. And people respect you for that. And then they think, wow, well, if she can do that, so can I. You want to find people that are better than you, right? Building a great team involves that. You remember hearing that about President Lincoln, a team of rivals. He found people who were better than him in his weak areas and thus built a really good presidency and was able to do amazing things. Other leaders you can point to that do that. You want to find people that are different than you. We just heard Suzanne talk about diversity. Diversity in every possible way of thinking. Find people different than you and braver than you. They motivate us to be even better than we are. The most important thing, we have to listen. And you want to interact with people and share. You want to document your contacts. And don't forget, the people you meet have a whole nother circle of friends. Friends of friends. I was at an event this weekend, and Tony LaRussa, our winning manager, talked about how friends of his have this whole circle of other friends that have helped him throughout his life with many, many things that he's done. And so I thought that's a very good point to remember. It's not just the person you're connecting with, but their entire network, all the people behind them that are there to help you as well. It's really important. Let me give you an example of the how. I have a contact who I thought was excellent. She was a young person that I had worked with. She had a great job. She decided to get engaged in the community. She joined United Way's Gen Next, met many wonderful people there. As a result of her leadership skills, she was put on the board of United Way. And there, the world opened. She met some incredible people involved in this community, business leaders, volunteers, you name it, she met them. And guess what? One of them came up to her and said, I want to meet you for coffee. I want to ask you some questions, some technical questions. We just heard that. We want young people, too, to help us with some of the technical things. She met with this woman, and guess what? This woman said, I have a job for you. I know a business that has a position open that you would be perfect for. And my contact said, well, I already have a job. I'm not really looking. And she said, well, just experience it. And guess what? Today, she's working at that company. So it's just amazing what will happen with a few contacts and putting yourself out there. So that's just one example. We could all give many, many, many more. Well, how are you going to stay connected? It's one thing to meet somebody, but then, that business card gets thrown away or put in a stack, or you lose the contact altogether, or you can't find their email or their phone number. So how do you do that? How do you stay connected with people? Or you may have all that, but you don't reach out to them. Communicate, and you can communicate in so many ways. Focus on those women that you want in your circle of influence. Why? Because they make you better. It's not always going to result in a job or a business opportunity, but it's really going to help you build your character and your brand. Social media is a great way to stay connected. I know many of you use that in the room, and I heard someone say last night they even knew that one of their friends would be here today because she put it on Facebook. So it's out there. Social media is a great way. We heard about volunteering and getting engaged in the community. That's another wonderful way that you can stay connected. Sending information of interest, and listen to what is being said by your contacts. I have a wonderful example of this. One of my contacts is excellent at that. Listens to what I'm interested in, what I'm working on, not just with me, but other contacts too. Finds something in the paper, pulls it out, writes a little note, sends it to us. Or something in email, or if they read something about us or see a photo about us or find something that they think we would find interesting or want to connect with, they send it to us. And I just think that person is amazing that they're able to do that. And I really value and appreciate it. And that's a nice way to stay in touch and stay connected with someone that you care about. So, meaningful relationships. Okay, superficial connections. You meet someone, you really don't know them. How can you make it more meaningful? You have to nurture them, don't you? And you have to meet them informally for coffee, for lunch, for dinner. Invite them to something that you're involved in, a concert or a speaker, or just pick up the phone and call them and ask them how they're doing and what they're working on. Request critical feedback from people that you're very close to and that you want to nurture you. You heard about mentors and how important they are over the course of a career. Find a mentor, brainstorm with them, really nurture that relationship, and make deposits in their emotional bank account. Because let's face it, there are too many withdrawals and not enough deposits in this world. And so I want you to be really thoughtful about that as well. One of my contacts, a great example of this. Every time that I see her, she says, "What are you working on? What's your passion? And what are you most interested in right now?" Because let's face it, we get so much information and have so many things we're working on, it can change periodically. And she really listens. One time, my husband was with me, and she asked him this question, and he told her something he was volunteering in, which was bringing children from Latin America to the United States for orthopedic surgery. And while they're here, many of them are alone. Some have a family member, but they really miss reading things in their own native language. And so he said, "I thought it would be really fun to start a library of books in Spanish for these children, so when they're here, they have something familiar. You know, you can take books and exchange them." Just an idea, and I think I may do that. The next thing we know, this person has called and has 30 books in Spanish that she purchased because she happened to be at a book sale and they were there, and she remembered what he had said. So I want you to know that because I thought that was really amazing. She really listened, she understood, and she felt like, oh, that's a really worthwhile goal. Let me help with that. So it's those little things that make a difference. And she does that very well, making your relationship meaningful, because that just drew us even more close to her and more close to the cause that we were supporting. Well, let's look in summary, because I want you to take something away and put it to work today. Relationships are everything. You probably know that. I don't care what your business is. You rely on other people constantly. You're always asking them to help you, and you're helping them. And if you don't have the relationship, many times you can't make it happen. And why are those everything? Because you have trust in the person. You've developed that over a period of time. And with that comes the responsibility of giving positive and critical feedback, doesn't it? Because you have that trust and you have that character. So I want you to become a great partner. I want you to connect with people and the people you've established relationships with throughout the year. Don't just pick up the phone and call them when you need something. Or don't email them just when you need something. If there's one thing I can say, that's really important. Here's an example. I have a contact, the only time I ever hear from them is when they need a job. So I know when that email pops up, I don't even have to read it. I know what it's about. They need a job. And it's fine. And I mean, I know that going into it, but don't be that person that only reaches out when you need something. Reach out when you can give something and when you can engage your contact in a meaningful situation, relationship, or opportunity. Always remember, people do things for people. If you pick up the phone and call your contact and ask them for something, and you've done these relationship building activities we've talked about, they'll do it, won't they? They'll step up to the plate for you because they know you, they trust you, and you've deposited in their emotional bank account as well. It's really a lot of fun to connect, and I hope that this summary will help you. So I just boiled it down because I don't know about you, but there's a lot of information today, and I want you to take this away. I know some of our young women from high schools, from St. Joe and also Kirkwood, are taking notes. Yes, women, I'm so glad you're doing that. Take notes throughout the day. You're going to get so much great information. So create connections, communicate effectively, challenge yourself to make those meaningful, and collaborate with them. And all of these will enhance your ability and make you an extraordinary leader. And one of my favorite leaders is Madeleine Albright. And I have a quote from her here I'd like to share with you. Extraordinary leaders are those who awaken in us the courage we forgot we had and inflame us to take action. They're successful not so much for what they know and do, but for what they inspire others to do. And I hope that's something that you'll make your personal mission, and you'll connect with people and inspire them to take action and be extraordinary themselves. Finally, I'd like to share with you a few words to live by. And you can just take a look at these, and we're going to run a quick video, and then I'm going to come back with a challenge for you. Could I have the video, please? Well, I hope you like that as much as I do. If there's one thing, I hope it inspired you for today, because there's so many good words in there that you can take and use throughout your life. And today is no exception. You're going to some really wonderful presentations. I want you to think about those words, live by them, connect by them, and lead by them. And finally, if I could have my slides back up, I have one challenge for you. And that is, I want you to connect today. It's your turn. This is your day. You came here to make a difference in your life, your personal and professional life. You're going to connect with the most amazing people today, and you're going to walk away with some great insight and information that you can take back and apply later today or tomorrow when you go back to work, to school, to whatever it is that you do. So I want you to introduce yourself to someone new. Don't hang with the group you came with. If you came with a group, break off. It's a friendly crowd, and we want to meet you. We want to know you because we can learn from you. Find a person, place, or issue that connects you. You know what they say, we're all related to Kevin Bacon somehow, right? So we're all related to each other somehow. It's amazing the connections you can find. It will shock you if you haven't already had that experience. I do almost every day when I meet someone. We have someone in common. Repeat that process throughout the day, and I hope you'll walk away today with 3 really good connections and people you want to follow up with and that you really want a meaningful relationship with. And find somebody that is better than you, smarter than you, different from you, and braver than you. I think those are always good things to look for in connections. So with that, I leave you to enjoy your day, to make connections, and make St. Louis and the world a better place for all of us. Thank you so much for your attention this morning, and I hope you have a wonderful day connecting. Thank you.
I love this event. I don't know about you. I mean, I get to do some pretty cool stuff with my job. I got to go to Oprah's spectacular ending show. But I still find myself in a rut, and Deb just got me out of it, so thank you. All right, Missouri Lottery has something special for one of you today. May Sheevy-Reardon, Executive Director of Missouri Lottery, has some very exciting news to share. You know, she's one of these women that just likes to give away stuff. So, May, come up here and explain.
Thank you, Heidi. Heidi, how can you be in a rut? You're getting ready to go to the Super Bowl, and I noticed there's some empty seats on that bus, so maybe you could take some of us with you. Ellen, what a great day. What a great stage. You always get us, it's something that the eye has not seen before, but you know, I love these plants, and later they'll be served as your lunch and salad, so please take a close look. It will be there. Suzanne, welcome to St. Louis. You know, I don't have a pickup truck and I don't have a shotgun, but I say, you and Ellen and I get in the pickup, put the shotgun out there and drive around Ladue in the Central West End. We'll have a hell of a good time. Can you see that? Can you see that, Ellen? Ellen will be going, go over there, there's a shoe store I know. They know me. So, you know, it's great. The Missouri Lottery is getting ready to celebrate our 26th year in business, and we're just thrilled to connect with small and large businesses across the state. We have 5,000 retailers that we help provide business to as well as jobs for, and we're just thrilled to connect with those individuals. You know, you probably read on the front page of the Business Journal last summer where the Missouri Lottery raised over $1 billion in sales. $1 billion in sales. Yes, that's right. That's more than the Rams, the Chiefs, the Cardinals, the Royals, the Blues, and Emo's Pizza combined in sales. So we are nothing to sneeze at, ladies. We are a vibrant business for the state of Missouri, so we are thrilled to do that. We also give away, you probably don't know this, but we average about $1.5 million a day, 365 days a year in prizes. And today could be one of your days. Not only do we have a booth here where we're giving away our famous scratch-off tickets, but we're going to have a drawing for an iPad 2 for the second year in a row. That's right, an iPad 2. And I wrote my notes on the side of this one. So you get this one, autographed copy. So there's a card in your bag. And on that card, there you go, hold it up, ladies. We ask you to go around, and all these exhibitors have come here today, they've spent their money, and they want to meet you. And what we ask you to do is take that card, go around, get the signatures, and then at the end of the day, at 5 o'clock, we're going to have a drawing. So drop it off at the Missouri Lottery Drum. We'll have a drawing, and hopefully you'll go home with a new iPad, too. There are 3 more things that I want you to know, 3 more numbers, since I'm all about numbers. It's 1, 4, and 8. 1, 4, and 8. Not too hard. $1 billion the Missouri Lottery does in sales every year for this great state of Missouri. $4 billion over the past 25 years the Missouri Lottery has given to public education here in the great state of Missouri. $4 billion. And 8 is the size shoe I wear. So if you'd like to purchase a pair of shoes in the size of 8, you can influence the drawing today. So please, remember, you can't win if you don't play. We'll see you at the Missouri Lottery booth. Thank you.
Hilarious. All right, some important stuff real quickly before you break out into your session. So this might be the time to take notes if you haven't already. As Ellen mentioned, there are over 90 exhibitors here today, so be sure to stop by the UPS booth and enter a drawing that will be sure to deliver a smile. Get this. All restrooms have been converted to ladies. So men, watch your back, or should I say front. The lone men's restroom is on the main level near Ruth Chris. Turn your cell phones to vibrate. We do have a full house today, so don't be afraid to sit in the front. I've been told that the people giving the seminars are not going to bite. The ladies who helped you at registration this morning will be around all day to answer questions. Business Journal photographers will be on site, so if you want to take pictures with your friends or your new friends, do so, and then visit the Business Journal website tomorrow to see your pictures. And stay with us all day, and you can debrief at the networking reception beginning at 4. And remember to stay here a little bit later to see if you win that iPad too. So thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Mingle, make friends and connections.